Hello everyone, welcome to Success Wisdom. In this video, we're going to talk about the difference between good debt and bad debt. If you're new to this channel, do like and subscribe to the channel. In today's video, we'll discuss Robert Kiyosaki's most fascinating teachings, and we'd like to give you the next one right now. It will be about debt and credit, as well as how to transform them into something useful. Isn't that a fascinating subject to discuss? There are a lot of people, like Robert Kiyosaki, who think they are experts on money, and they all say the same thing, which is that we should try to stay out of debt. Some people even think that getting rid of credit cards is a good idea. This is good advice for some people who have a lot of consumer debt. Robert thinks that you should get rid of your credit cards if you can't keep track of your spending. However, he doesn't know how people live without them. The owner of the business says he doesn't know how to stop people from staying in hotels, renting cars, or eating at restaurants. However, he is sure that people who are addicted to shopping should throw away their credit cards. So, as Robert pointed out, there are both good and bad kinds of debt. When you have a lot of debt that you can pay back, like a student loan, this is called bad debt. The main reason for this is that it is the worst kind of debt that you could have. Kiyosaki describes it this way: a businessman with debt may just declare bankruptcy and be free. But you won't be able to do so with school debts and will be trapped by debt for the rest of your life. As a consequence, if you're a student, wait until you're positive you'll be able to graduate before taking out a student loan. According to Robert, he feels that many of us have examples of people who just drop out. The problem with a student loan is that the student must know exactly what he or she is going to study till the very end. Robert has two friends who are both doctors. These brothers graduated with a $500,000 debt, but owing to high-paying jobs, they were able to pay it off in 5 years before starting a family and settling down. The author is certain that we all know folks who are unclear about what they want to achieve. When Robert was 18, he told us that his classmates earned about $120,000 each year. It may not seem like much today, but for his age, it was a tremendous accomplishment. Even if a person only earned $20,000 per year at the time, it was still a good living. Robert's beginning salary was $45,500, but his peers were paid 3 times as much. He highlights the notion that this is a personal decision that each of us must make. He had no desire to be a part of what they were doing. Even though he was not required to join a union, he chose not to since he believed that this particular one was not for him. As a result of this, Robert took a job with Standard Oil of California as a delivery officer. He was not required to join a labor union. On the other hand, no one else was like the entrepreneur. He barely made ends meet with a yearly salary of $47,000. Robert continued by stating that there is always a cost to pay. It is tough to distinguish between the two when you are under the age of 22, since the distinctions are slight. He was confident that no matter how much money they paid him, he would never join the union. His reluctance was motivated by principle. Gaia believes that everything is more complex now since we don't know what sort of employment is sufficiently compensated these days. Everything becomes more difficult as a result. According to Robert, due to the crowded market, even attorneys are having difficulty these days. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is being used more and more to fill high-level jobs in this field. Robert thought before getting your first student loan that they didn't need an accountant because most of the work could be done by computers. Our generation needs to decide if we will finish the studies we have started. Then Robert moved on to the more important topic of good debt and bad debt. He made a picture that showed income, expenses, assets, and debts. Say that you want to buy a house. It may seem like your property is an asset, but that's not the case. Robert says that your house is dangerous. The house is your responsibility, whether or not you have other debt. In the same way, if you own a car, it is your responsibility to take care of it. Robert went on to say that there are 60 key terms to know when learning about money. Included are income, expenses, assets, liabilities, and cash flow. The average person has a job. You pay your bills with the money you make at through a mortgage, the money we pay for the house goes to the bank. In the end, money is a liability, not an asset. It's not good. It takes money out of your account. On the other hand, assets bring you money. So if you own rental property as an asset, it will bring in money. Even if you aren't behind on your mortgage, owning a home is a big responsibility because you have to pay taxes, repairs, maintenance, and insurance. A person has a positive debt if they lend something that turns into an asset that makes money. For example, if you own a car and rent it out to Uber drivers who also make money, this is a positive debt. Robert and his wife have a yacht. He says that most of the boats don't make money, but this one does because it is leased out often. The two most important things to remember from this lecture are cash flow and student loans. All of this can be summed up in just two words. The flow of money. If money comes into your pocket, it's an asset and a good debt. If money leaves your pocket, on the other hand, it's a bad debt. This is especially true if you do well at work or run a business. Robert says that you must be in charge of the direction of the cash flow. Even though many people work, their money goes out and is taxed by the government. Robert made a point of talking about his friend, Donald Trump. Because he and Trump both avoid paying taxes, it's one of the main reasons why Kiyosaki and Trump own their own businesses instead of working for someone else. Entrepreneurs pay taxes, but they are also one of the types of assets he talks about near the end of his talk. He comes to the conclusion that credit cards are nothing to be afraid of if you know how to use them right. Can credit cards be a good way to borrow money? It depends on what you plan to do with the money. If you plan to use the money to buy an asset that will make you money, it's a good debt. If you spend it on a Versace jacket though, it's not. Bad debt costs you money, while good debt puts money in your pocket. Thank you for watching. I hope you have learned something from this video. If you like this video, do give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below. Thank you and goodbye.